Mumbling, stumbling, fumbling, got one right. And good for Shannon Sharpe. I don't know why he's doing it. I don't know. You know, Shannon Sharpe famously showed himself having the sex or heard himself having the sex. So I always wonder what guys' ulterior motives are that are dumb enough to put out a sex tape, even if it is an audio. I do. And I don't care what the topic's going to be. The topic could be NFL. The topic could be women's basketball. The topic could be NBA. I don't care. But when you're dumb enough to put out a sex tape, yeah, I'm questioning everything about you, but I'll give him credit. He goes off. There's a lot of ESPN crime these days. He goes off on his coworkers. Denouncing those that did. Denouncing Caitlin Clark and her abilities. Yeah, that's right. Her playing abilities. Saying she's box office baby. And those who slandered her should be ashamed. Let's hear from mumbling, stumbling, tumbling, Shannon Sharpe.
Stephen A., I would be remiss if I didn't say this. A lot of this noise came by people that were sitting on this network. They tried to minimize her, said, well, you giving her all this credit. What about the women that came before her? What the women came before her, what they did cannot be taken away. That ain't got nothing to do with Caitlin Clark. But there was a lot of people tried to make sure they keep Caitlin Clark in her place because what you're doing, if you give her all this shine, you minimize what they done. You can't minimize what Macklemore or Candace Parker or Lisa Leslie or Lauren Jackson or Diana Taurasi or Simone Augustus or any of the other great players. That Caitlin Clark, what she's doing doesn't minimize what they've done. But we should have been giving her the credit. We saw the ratings. We saw the merchandise sales. We saw the attendance. But y'all want to make it about something else. Oh, what about the women that laid the foundation? What about this? What about it? That ain't got nothing to do with Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is box office. She's doing this. And instead of giving her credit, y'all tried to make it about, y'all poo-pooing the old guard. Y'all never talked about the old guard like this. Nah, I ain't going to let it slide.
Hey, good for you because the old guard didn't do nothing. No, really. I mean, 27 years. 27 years, and even this year, if you think about it, how many teams had to move arenas, small venues, into bigger venues? You know, the Las Vegas Aces did, and they've won the title 2 years in a row. They're playing in about a 5,000-seat arena. Guess what? Caitlin comes in, and it's 17,000. Let me ask you a question. Simple question. What exactly did the old guard do? What exactly did all those names that he got off Wikipedia, what exactly did they do? They did nothing. They managed to have a summer league that sustained itself by the NBA, which means it didn't sustain itself. You see what I did there? That was a bit Kamala Harris. That sustained itself by the NBA, but it really didn't sustain itself. That's like saying the kids of our community are the kids of our community. You got to think deep like me and Kamala. We're deep thinkers. We go places others don't. That's right. But anyway, what did they really do? They cost a lot of money. They drew no interest. They flew commercial just like you and me. Most sports organizations don't. They fly private. Salaries abysmal. TV ratings non-existent. Yeah, ESPN had to prop them up. That's great. But what did they really do? Did they bring a wild, crazy, even Tim Tebow-like interest? Even Josh Allen-like interest? Was there any city, even a city, that was excited, couldn't wait for the WNBA game that night? The answer, of course, is no. Now, Sid D's, not only Indianapolis, but Vegas. Not only Indianapolis and Vegas, but New York, Connecticut, you name it. They're excited when the Caitlin Rhodes Show comes to town. That's what should have happened with others. That's what could have happened with others. But everybody played the same, and I'll continue to say it. And what Shannon Sharpe isn't saying is that y'all made it about race. Y'all made it about sex. His counterparts at ESPN were too afraid to upset the LGBT, ABCD, whatever the hell it is, community. His partners at ESPN were too scared to upset the crazy-ass women that work at ESPN. The insane people who act like children on a daily basis. But because those inside Building 4 gave away the power to those crazy-ass women, guess what? Everybody on the television was, for whatever the reason, afraid. What are you afraid of? That Andrea Carter is going to stop you in the hall and act like a fool? That Chimmy, whatever her name is going to stop you in the hall? No. They were all afraid to stand up and say, yo, you're just being racist. We know it. You know it. You're just being sexist. This is a straight white girl. I don't know the sexual orientation of those on television at ESPN, except we all learned that at least Elle Duncan had some kids, has some C-section. We learned that in a very weird way. But those women are very weird. They're insane. Anyway, long story short, I do know this. I do know that the nation was captivated by Caitlin Clark in college, and that, ladies and gentlemen, bumped itself up into the WNBA. I also know this. It's killing the NBA. It's killing the NBA that these guys aren't getting brands in college. It's killing the NBA that Michael Jordan doesn't have 3 years of playing every day at North Carolina and then comes into college. I remember when DJ White, Big Ten most valuable player, played for me in 2008. I told him, I said, you're going to go to the NBA. You're going to go somewhere, I don't know, Sacramento, I don't know, and you're never going to be on national TV again like you are in college. It's kind of weird. I wasn't saying it for any reason other than we were having a discussion. It's kind of interesting. So the WNBA got the value of ESPN's terrific women's coverage. They cover the game, not the people covering it. They're idiots. But the coverage of the sport is terrific. Ryan Rucco's fantastic, by the way. I digress. Having said that, though, Shannon Sharpe is right. That is not disparaging the old guard who did absolutely nothing. It is simply celebrating the most interesting, most fascinating, most connected to the public woman to ever come into the league. Period. See, I say this, and I say this, and I say this. We've seen a woman miss 10 layups in a row and get a rebound like Angel Reese. We've seen a mid-range jumper like Asia Wilson. We've seen a hard-charging guard like Diana Taurasi. But we ain't seen nothing like Caitlin Clark going to the rim, behind the back pass, playing with style and flair, getting pissed off, sticking out her tongue. You know what I'm saying? And then shooting those bombs, yo. Now, how long this lasts, I don't know. I actually had a guy, this is how nuts people are. I had a guy yesterday on my afternoon show from Iowa call in. And he said the coach of the Indiana Fever should be fired because he didn't know how to use Caitlin Clark. I said, wait a second. Caitlin Clark broke every offensive record that a rookie ever had, and some that veterans have had, assists and others, in the history of the league. And the coach doesn't know how to use her? How would you use her? He had no idea. Coach doesn't know how to teach defense. Okay, how do you teach defense? Well, you got to run back on defense. Okay, what do you think they do, walk? People are insane, and I dig it. I had to call the guy an idiot because that's what I do on the air. It's who I am. If we had call-ins here, that's what I would call you. But I digress. Man, good for Shannon Sharpe. He's been pretty consistent. And the others you got exposed as chicken, cowardly race baiters. A number of media members around the WNBA took to social media to call out the one voter who gave Angel Reese a fourth-place MVP vote, with some even suggesting they should have their voting privileges rescinded. Wow. Look, let me guess. Let me close my eyes and guess. Here's how the MVP voting went. The MVP voting went like this. Asia Wilson, first WNBA player. That was unanimous. I don't know how the hell you say Collar's name. One vote away from sweeping second. Clark fourth. Reese receives one fourth-place vote. All right. Reese finished her rookie year, 13 points, 13 rebounds. That's pretty good. But it was her field goal percentage from around 2 feet out at 39% that had a lot to be desired. I wouldn't disparage her if she wasn't like crazy hanging on to Caitlin Clark, if she wasn't a racist, if she wasn't like some crazy-ass jealous lover that can't quite get it done, can't quite close a deal. That's all she is. I mean, that's how she acts. I don't know if that's all she is. That's how she acts. And when in doubt, take your clothes off. That's the new little girl mantra. When in doubt, I'm going to go like Livy Dunn and get in a bikini, show my ass. I like that Caitlin Clark hasn't done that. Keep it classy, yo. Anyway, when you add in the fact that the Chicago Sky finished 13-27, well, it's the third worst record in the WNBA. It's hard to argue for Reese receiving the vote. Also, and this is not a shot at Angel Reese whatsoever. She has nothing to do with this. Whoever used a fourth-place vote on Angel Reese should be banned from voting on league awards forever. They don't take the process seriously. All right. And can't even pretend to be unbiased. Now, the guy that wrote this, James Boyd, is a clown. I mean, he's an indie writer that writes for the Indie Star, maybe the Athletic, I don't know, and literally smooches the ass of a bad organization every day. But as they say, every once in a while, a squirrel finds a nut. So good for him. James Boyd, you're stepping up, yo. Nice. But I don't really respect him. Had anybody else said it, I might respect him. I don't know Boyd. I just watched him at Colts camp one day, and he's just another one of these slovenly, although he's younger, wears high tops without his shoe tied on the job. Just looks like an idiot. But anyway, Boyd made a good point there. I don't know if you can tell by this show and others, I don't really dig the indie media. I don't. Hey, based off his comments, Matt LaFleur is telling me Malik Willis is making a hell of an impact in Green Bay, and he is. Let me ask you a question. Is there anything better than showing up somebody that dumped you, got rid of you? You know what I'm saying? Like, you show up at a wedding, and your ex-girlfriend's there, and you bring, like, I don't know, the hottest girl in town. Or you're a girl. Some dude dumps you. I always told my daughter's friends, hey, some dude dumps you, here's what you do. You date his friend. And they would say, Mr. D, you're crazy. I go, no. No, you date his friend. One of them did. She's like, Mr. D, that's the greatest thing I've ever heard. I said, I know. I'm wise this way. I'm wise in the terms of women's fashion. I mean, honest to God, I should dress every woman. Women don't know how to dress themselves anymore. You put me, my wife will go, all right, which one? This one. Oh, yeah. Which one? That one. All right, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Even my daughter's like, Dad, how's this? No, wear those shoes. Yeah, you're right. Honest to God, I got a knack, to quote Charlie Sheen. I got a knack. But anyway, does anybody, so you understand my analogy here. You know, you get dumped, you show up, next thing you know, you got Elizabeth Hurley on your arm, it's all good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I've actually had that twice with the lovely Lee Ross. I'm digging it. It's a good way to go about the business. Don't sink. Don't wilt. Don't cry. Don't bitch, whine, and moan, get in the bottle, getting drugs, or feel depressed. Rise up and do better, and then show it off. That's what Malik Willis did. Malik Willis was basically dumped for, wait for it, Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph sounds like a frat boy at North Carolina. Shout out, though, to frat boys at North Carolina. They're getting some done in America here. I like it. Keep doing it. But anyway, Mason Rudolph does. He sounds like, now I'm dating myself, an Izod wearing, collared shirt up, frat boy from the Fiji house. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's who he got dumped for. I don't know why I'm talking in kind of a rhyme, but I am. Anyway, here's what LaFleur had to say. I just cannot articulate the job that he's done in a short period of time. People can't fathom that, I promise you. You guys don't get it. I know you think you got it, but you don't get it. What he's been able to do, I've never seen something like this. Yeah, Malik Willis, 2 games, 25 of 33, 324 yards. He's protecting the pelota. No interceptions, 3 touchdowns. He's running 12 for 114 and a touchdown. 2-0 as a starting quarterback. They got him for a 7th-round pick 4 weeks prior to the season. Nick, I know you've never been dumped, but did you get my analogy? Girl dumps you. Date her best friend. Girl dumps you. Find someone hotter. Show that hair. Comb that thing nice. Wear your hat, Nick. That's the best revenge, Nick. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. I'd be lying if I say I didn't do that to another girl and her best friend. But hey, here we are, 29 years later.
You did it when you were 1. The man did it when he was 1 year old. That's a stud. That's an Italian stallion right there. You know what I mean?
Only the Italians can do it too. Only the Italians can do it too.
That's what I'm saying, man. I mean, like, look, hey, Malik Willis got dumped, Nick. He didn't sulk, bitch, whine, moan, cry. He didn't get into the bottle. Well, this is a bottle of water, but you know what I'm saying. He didn't start drinking vodka at noon. He got serious, Nick. That's what you're supposed to do.
That's poetic justice right there, and he played it off in such a classy manner. He said, screw it. You know what? They gave me a chance. I'm still in the league. I'm now a starting quarterback. I'm going to do my best. And it just happened to be against his former team. It could have been against that team, but it just happened to be against the Titans. I love it.
That's right. I do too. That makes it better, man. But hey, look, remember, when you have a daughter, she gets upset about a boy dumping him. Date his friend. Date his friend. It's good advice. I think, in fact, the girl just that I told that to, I think she just married the guy this past weekend. I do. I didn't get invited. I'm a little pissed because I set the whole thing up. Huh?
Always listen to Double D.
What'd you say? Always. Let me tell you something. I don't look like much, but I got some good advice, and I don't give it out except for on this show. Drink more water, eat more chicken. All right, let's see. Jerry Jones. Well, Jerry Jones, he didn't catch shrapnel. He caught hell. Derrick Henry, same thing. Same kind of thing, right? I can't afford Derrick Henry, Jerry Jones said. Well, Derrick Henry just kicked that ass, yo. Yeah, he did. He busted that ass. That's what he did. He came into Dallas, whooped them. Dallas is all a mess, and Mike Greenberg, well, he not happy with the comments Jones made about not being able to afford Derrick Henry. He signs with the Ravens. He runs for, listen for it, 151, 2 touchdowns, 28-25 win. Ravens were killing him. And then all of a sudden, Dak Prescott started doing Dak Prescott stuff. Here is, and this is a mess. This is what happens in Big D. And players should just shut up. But first, we're going to hear from Greenberg, and then we're going to hear from Dak Prescott. And Dak Prescott, yo, just shut up. Here's Greenberg.
I don't know. Why can't you buy a mansion when you live in a different kind of house? We couldn't afford it. We can't make that all fit. It's as simple as that.
And sorry, but with all due respect, sir, it is definitely not as simple as that. Sometimes you can't buy a mansion because you ran up a lot of credit card debt or something like that. You made bad financial decisions, and that's what his team and his leadership have done. Maybe if you had decided to treat the offseason like it began sometime before September 1st, you would have been able to make some of these moves. But when you wait on the CD Lamb deal until you're the last mover, you ever heard of the term first mover advantage? Well, they were the last mover when it came to the great receivers. And so it cost them way more than it otherwise would have. And they were the last mover. They literally signed their quarterback to the biggest contract of all time an hour before the season began. They had no offseason. So they got worse and more expensive, which is terrible management. So they could easily have afforded Derrick Henry if they had taken care of their business when they should have. And instead, he ran all over their non-existent defense yesterday. That is the Sunday statement.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Look, I don't know the finances, but I do know what Greenberg is saying. See, here in Indy, we sign our own. And I'm not sure in the modern NFL, I want to speak on this for just a minute. I'm not sure in the modern NFL, signing your own is the way. Like, free agents are jumping around, and players and teams are getting better. Indianapolis and Dallas, they sign their own. They didn't go out and get anybody. Like in Dallas, it's Derrick Henry. In Indy, it's defensive secondary help. Now, maybe it turns out okay. We're only in week 3. But I'm paying attention to this because what Greenberg said is interesting. The season does not start when training camp starts or the first day of September or whatever you want to do. In this modern NFL, man, it's almost like college. You better have all your bases covered. in terms of bringing players in. College, you better have some NIL money. Know the junior college, obviously with NIL money, you know the transfer portal, and have a high school base. My old school, Indiana, is doing it pretty well, if you must know the truth. But you got to do the same thing. You got to do the same thing, man, in the NFL. You got to know. You got to know, and you got to be aggressive, and you got to figure out your needs and try to get the best people, not just signing your own or relying on the draft like it's 1983, because it's not. Now, here's Dak Prescott's reaction to everything. What are you doing, Dak? Jump off the bandwagon. Hey, all right. You know, I'm not mad at you for that. And this whole thing with fans being able to just stand there and yell at players when they lose. I need videos of these guys. I guarantee you, we have something in our world that we call a punchable face. All right? And I guarantee you, the guy that says anything to Daniel Jones or to the Bosas or in this case Prescott, I guarantee you they got a punchable face. Promise you they do. I want to see these clowns. I ain't mad at them. I just want to punch them in the face. Oh, yeah, Dakich, that's violent. Shut up. Damn right it is. Shut up. Former White Sox manager Ozzie Guillen, who the only time the Sox have been any good was when crazy-ass Ozzie Guillen was at the helm. I loved Ozzie. Still do. If you don't know who he was a terrific shortstop, came up with the White Sox, played with the White Sox, managed the White Sox to a World Series in 2005. And then, because, well, he's kind of a jackass, wore out his welcome, went down to Miami, praised Castro. The Miami fans who fled Castro revolted, and now, well, he was out of baseball. Now he's back in baseball doing post games on the White Sox. He summed up his feelings, and most people's feelings, on the franchise trying to catch the 1962 Mets record for most losses in a single season in the modern era of baseball. Even if you tried to do it, I don't think you could do it. Here's what Ozzie Guillen had to say.
In 24, only 36 wins. There's only 6 games remaining in 120 losses.
It's a lot of questions in the air. It's like why, how that happened. Upset, embarrassing in some point. Even you try to do that, I don't think you can do it. With the Mets, that was a expansion team. This organization will be there for a long, long time. And only one thing about it is nothing will click for them from the beginning. Nothing clicked for the White Sox. They lose so many different ways. The only thing go through my mind is just like stay positive, learn from this fiasco, and learn from very upset, sad, embarrassing year, and that's all you can do about it. Nothing is over. It's over with, and it just we have 6 games more left.
6 more games.
That's going to be, I think they will break that record. They will shadow that record, and something is going to be there for a little while. We're going to live with that for a little while.
And we'll probably just
check out. This has been really funny. Here's the official White Sox Twitter handle reacting to the losses. This is what the White Sox Twitter has come to. Look at this. Oh, man. The White Sox Twitter handle is hilarious. Other one they put on was final, can be found on the Major League Baseball app. Final, the number of runs we scored was not greater than the number of runs they scored. So at least they're having a sense of humor about it. But here's the deal with Major League Baseball. Every guy will tell you that's played or coached or whatever been around Major League Baseball will tell you this. 162 games, you're going to win 50, you're going to lose 50. Everybody says the same thing. It's the other 63 that determine how good you are. You win 40 of the other 63, you got 90 wins. But these guys aren't getting a 40. Total wins. Man, and it was only a few years ago, and I keep saying this, if you really paid attention to baseball, it was only a few years ago, it was, that the White Sox were kind of considered the it team. Dylan Cease, Sale, the lefty, Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez. They were the up-and-coming team. Man, it goes fast. It goes really, really fast. Scumbag rapper Macklemore says, F America, really, to a crowd of cheers at a recent performance as the woke loser continues to push anti-American and anti-Israel statements. Here's what he had to say, straight up saying, I'm not going to stop you, I'm not going to stop you. Yeah, F America. And he did it, of course. Look at this clown. Look at this little biatch. Now, he did it, of course, in Seattle, where they got Chaz, blue hair, and fat people. And the first city to go down in any kind of, God forbid, civil war would be Seattle. What are you going to do? Yell and scream? Look at this guy. You don't like America? Take your millions and get your sorry ass the hell out of here. I mean, it's that simple. You're sitting here making millions. I got to bring Nick in on this. Hey, Nick, do we know Macklemore? Is he a guy that I'm supposed to know? I know the name, but what's he done? Is he popular? Is he a big-time guy? What's this guy?
Do you know that song, Thrift Shop? That song, Thrift Shop, or Can't Hold Us? They're from 2013.
All right. So he's popular.
Yeah, the song Thrift Shop was extremely popular.
All right.
You don't know it? You know it?
Huh?
You don't know it?
I don't. I mean, if I heard it, I might know it, but I don't know it. And I look at him, and he's got look at that face. You want to punch that face? He has a punchable face.
I wanna.
All right.
Yeah, I'd like to uppercut, kick, whatever, right in his face.
Yeah.
He's a piece of shit.
Yeah, just hit him in his smug, arrogant mouth. Anyway, straight up, Macklemore dropped an anti-Israel song in May called Heinz Hall, referring to Columbia University building that students occupied, renamed in honor of the 6-year-old Palestine girl killed in the Israel-Gaza war. The song praised the anti-Israel encampments and protests on college campus across the country, called out President Biden, the police, and the music industry. Yeah, okay, great. Macklemore, listen to this, estimated worth of $25 million, according to Celebrity Net Worth, declares in the second version of the song, capitalism killing us. That's something we can't afford. There will never be freedom by pleading with Zionists. Fuck you. Oh, sorry, Mom. I just get tired of these guys. I mean, these guys are apart. Well, I'm not even going to go down that road, because if I go down that road, I'll get in trouble probably. But he has a very punchable face. Who cares? All the blue-haired little maniacs in Seattle, all the little bitch boys in Chaz or Seattle or Portland and all those little places, just go. Just shoot. Last night, the Bills. Let's talk about the Bills for a second. Stephon Diggs was supposed to signal him leaving the end of the Bills' opportunity to win a Super Bowl. Boy, oh boy. I kind of said this. No, I didn't kind of say it. I absolutely said it. There's a reason you get rid of talent like that. You don't just wake up one morning, stop at the truck stop, go to the bathroom in the urinal and go, hey, oh yeah, it says on the wall, get rid of Stephon Diggs. Sounds like a good idea. You evaluate your team. Why are we not getting to where we feel we need to get? Then you evaluate your personnel, and then you evaluate the character of said personnel, particularly your stars. And it's clear, well, all you got to do is look at DeAndre Hopkins and the mess that guy is. Yes, I know he made a one-handed catch one time. He's the mad crapper, DeAndre Hopkins. People can look this up. He and some wide receiver, I don't know if Hopkins was from Clemson. The other guy was from Rutgers. They crapped up a hotel room, smeared crap, human feces all over the walls and the ceilings, to the point where during the combine, where an Indianapolis hotel had to spend $15,000 and $20,000, which they eventually paid him back to clean it up. That's DeAndre Hopkins. So whenever he gets traded, I'm not surprised. Stephon Diggs has been let go by two different teams. The Minnesota Vikings, who, by the way, are thriving without Stephon Diggs. Oops. And, of course, last night we saw what we saw, which is, well, I think the Buffalo Bills are going to be okay without Stephon Diggs. Now, Stephon Diggs' own team, well, he's trying to act like a good teammate. When somebody else scores, he goes over there and does a bunch of stupid stuff to make sure the attention is on him. Well, the attention last night, man, oh man, was it on Josh Allen. And Josh Allen just absolutely smoked. I mean, smoked the Jaguars. You got to ask the question, whoa. Is everybody, I get it, everybody's a generational quarterback. I get it. We're all generational quarterbacks. We're all like, hey, listen up here. You're really good. You can throw a ball really far. You're generational. Yeah, I don't know that Trevor Lawrence is generational. Worst thing ever happened to the Jaguars was that idiot owner getting all excited and getting rid of Urban Meyer. You keep Urban Meyer, now you're winning. I don't care what you think about that. Doug Peterson was brought in, caught the residual effect of Urban Meyer, and next thing you know, they won a little bit. Now that effect is gone. And Doug Peterson's soft-ass players coach style, well, it hadn't worked so well. There was history made last night in the other game. The only game that I lost last night, I went against the sack man, was Washington. Listen to this from Jaden Daniels. I told you I loved Jaden Daniels last year when I saw him. Made history. Becoming the rookie with the highest ever completion percentage, 21 to 23. 91%. 21 to 23 for 91%. And the dime he dropped on Terry McLaurin in the right side of the end zone while Terry McLaurin was being held. Oh, man, what a pass, what a catch. That was big-time NFL stuff, 38-33. And there's Joe Burrow after the game, right? Jolton Joe, injured Joe. I'm too cool for school Joe with his little frosted hair and all the answers. Little Joseph is now 0-3 with a 2.5% chance based on history of getting to the playoff. Joe Burrow makes my ass sag. Joe Burrow gives me gas. Joe Burrow's like all those little girls that work at ESPN that got a little fame, and next thing you know, he can't handle it. Now, think about it. Jamar Chase being a pain in the ass. That's right. Jamar Chase being a pain in the ass. How's that working for them? Anybody being a pain in the ass over there with the Commanders? Anybody being a pain in the ass over there with the Bills? I don't think so. In fact, I'll ask Gruden later on today when John Gruden joins the show. I'll say, yo, when's the last time a diva wide receiver won anything? When's the last time a pain-in-the-ass wide receiver was on a team that won anything? I'm not talking about a guy that holds out. I'm talking about a guy that makes it about me, I, me, I, me, I, and me. The answer, I don't know. Odell Beckham wasn't a pain in the ass when the Los Angeles Rams won the Super Bowl. He was a side note. He was an add-on late in the year. He was contrite. I don't know. I honestly don't. You guys know him as legendary broadcaster, legendary football coach. I know him. I don't know him. I'm meeting him for the first time, but I've always admired him as the head of the FFCA, the Fired Football Coaches Association, which coach, by the way, is legendary to people that I know. One of our mutual friends, Rick Venturi, he actually said this. Tell me if this is true. And I don't know whether this is with the FFA or not, but he said that Sean McVay was one of your guys' runners at the FFA or somewhere where you two were working. That true?
Yeah, it was. We all got fired in Tampa Bay. I think it was 2008. That was before I went to Monday Night Football. We needed a place to go, so we came into my little dive. I call it the FFCA. It's the Fired Football Coaches Association. That's right. And we put Sean McVay in the laboratory. We taught him how to draw perfectly round circles. That's what the mission was with McVay.
My guy Venturi said you could tell he was a savant, though. He said he was brilliant, huh?
He's really good. He was always had the charisma. He's a quick learner, but he could express himself. He could make some of the most boring things interesting. And we knew he was going to be fast-tracked. It was just a matter of time.
The reason I bring up McVay is, you know, people have always cultivated to you. They've always kind of come to you. And, you know, look, I mean, without offending you, you're not Peyton Manning, you're not Tom Brady, but people have always, you know, you start the FFCA and, you know, legendary coaches come, they hang. Why? What's your Seinfeldian quality that you have? What is it that people, boom, we got to go see Gruden?
I think it's the truth. Number one, they know we've done the work. It's not just come down to Tampa and BS yourself through a 3-hour meeting. I mean, send me an email, send me what you want to talk about. You want to talk about Palms coverage, bunch formations, red zone, third down and goal plays. Send me the email. We'll do the research and we'll have a hell of a good time and a great meeting. But we have the truth. We try to have some fun and try to get everybody on the same page, I guess.
Coach, you mentioned Monday Night Football. You ever have regrets leaving the booth, leaving that job?
Yeah, I do. I love that job. I really did. I really enjoyed working with Mike Tirico in particular. Tirico was like the quarterback. You know, he was the Tom Brady of the whole operation. You see him still today. He still has that it factor. And no disrespect to anybody, but when Mike left, it was a new offense for me. I didn't learn it very well, and I probably made the decision to try to get back into coaching when Mike moved on. But I sure do miss it. I had a great time, and those were 9 good years.
You know, Coach, you go back and you coach, and the offer, I mean, look, at least what I know about the offer was too good to be true. I mean, you had to take the offer. Was there a big difference when you left coaching, and you mentioned 9 years in Monday Night Football, even though you're around it all the time doing Monday Night Football? Was the day-to-day big time different than it was 9 years previous?
Yeah, it was a lot different, no doubt, Dan. You know, the analytics, the player safety initiative, the way we practiced, it's a lot different. And that was a tough place in my career from the standpoint that we were in Oakland. I loved Oakland. And we were in the process of moving to Las Vegas, and then COVID hit. So it was a challenging time, but things were a lot different, certainly, than they were 9 years previous.
What was the biggest difference? Were players, you know, everybody talks about players different. Coach Knight used to always say, well, players aren't different, their parents are different. That's college kids, that kind of thing. But, you know, or parenting is different as well. Was there a difference in the players? Could you feel something just not quite the same, good or bad? Doesn't have to be bad, could be good.
Well, I've always looked at players the same way. I think players, Players, are never going to change. I think real players, they want hard coaching. They want to be challenged. They want to be pushed. They want information. Now, there's some players, I call them Playahs, that they enjoy other things that maybe you and I wouldn't necessarily want to have a lot of that on our team. They can be a little distracted at times, but certainly there are a lot more challenges for a coach given the times and the amount of time we're allowed to spend with these guys.
You know, is Tom Brady said the NFL offensively is dumbed down for young quarterbacks. Where are you at with that kind of statement?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think when you watch a Friday night high school football game, I think you'll see the same offenses, a lot of the same plays on Saturday when you watch a major college game. And then when you watch football on Sunday, you're seeing a lot of the same plays that you're seeing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It all kind of looks the same. I don't think quarterbacks clapping their hands in the snap count, putting the ball in play is evolution. I think that's what cavemen did when they were hungry before electricity. They would clap their hands and point to their mouth. But I think it is being dumbed down a little bit, and rightfully so. You're not allowed to be on the practice field as long. You see a lot of players in college now transferring twice, 3 times, not having spring practice. And as you know, as an ex-athlete playing for Bobby Knight, repetition is the mother of learning. And when you take away the repetition, you're going to lose some quality. I don't care who we argue with.
You know, you can't argue with it, though. It's never coming back, right? Guys in pads is never coming back. You're right. I mean, that's a big difference. Because when you started, you were really young. You were 28 when you started with Holmgren. I mean, you would hit, you get used to it. I always thought this. You know, you mentioned repetition. Isn't a big-time repetition in football hitting somebody, getting used to getting hit, getting used to hitting somebody? Is that good for football? I get it, it's good for players. Everything's built for players. But is that good for football, what's happening with the lack of contact leading up to the seasons?
You know, I think we're walking a fine line, you and I, with this conversation because there is a player safety issue here. I understand that. But I do think when it comes to offensive linemen, if we're going to let the Dallas Cowboys or the Seattle Seahawks run a three-man stunt with their defensive line, and these guys are flying in at the quarterback, I think the offense should be able to go out there in pads and try to pick up some of these blitzes and some of these stunts. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time throwing the ball, and I think that's what we're seeing a little bit right now. Some of these quarterbacks are under siege, and until the linemen catch up, it's going to continue to be a little bit of a challenge.
I watch, so, Indianapolis is where I live. I'm watching Anthony Richardson take on Caleb Williams. All right, we're watching a lot of young quarterbacks. I was talking to your friend Rick Venturi. What did you think of both coming out?
Well, we loved Anthony Richardson's upside it's off the charts. I mean, this guy, if he puts a workout out for you, you would say, who is this guy? He's a freak. I mean, this guy can do back flettles. He's got a great throwing motion, powerful arm. You can run all that RPO stuff and let him scramble around all you want. And I thought he had the size and strength to really be durable. But he was inexperienced. He was a complete mystery to so many people. His body of work was the smallest body of work I've ever seen for a top 5 quarterback. But with that being said, if I needed a quarterback, I would be happy to roll the dice on an athlete and a kid like he is. And then with Caleb Williams, you can't deny the fact that is one quick, accurate passing stroke that he has. The only question you have is how far can he go? How much does he love it? How much is he going to prove it? And what can he bring out of his teammates? These are things you never know until time passes by, as you know.
Yeah, I'm old and stupid. Does it bother you, a guy going in the stands crying to his mom or any of the ancillary stuff with Williams?
Well, I cry. I've been crying a lot lately. Nothing bothers me, Dan. Nothing bothers me at all. I have no feelings. I'm completely numb.
Come on. If you were going to draft a guy, would that factor in? Would something like that factor in at all with you?
Listen, everything factors in. I mean, the intangibles are a huge part of being great. I don't know a great steak or a great hotel that doesn't have the little things that make it great. And the way you compete, the way you handle adversity. The great players I've been around, Jerry Rice, Warren Sapp, they loved the misery. I used to ask them, what the hell are you talking about? It's the 2-minute drill. We're 7 points behind. You're hot. You're beat up. You're not getting the ball. You have every reason to pack it in. And that's when they played their best. And those are things, those are ingredients that the great ones have, and they're hard to find. That's why we call them great.
Can your coach put that into him in the NFL?
I think so. I think you can coach anything. I think you can coach how to sit up in a chair, how to be a better listener, how to be a better communicator. I think we learn how to become better leaders. I think that's the coach's job. I think the environment that we put these people in is really important. I've seen it done in the military. I used to tour prisons when I was a young coach. I got to go to San Quentin and learn about changing behavior. But I think you definitely can train a young man to do a lot of things better. And if you have the right locker room, as you know, you can learn a lot from the seniors and the fifth-year seniors, the guys that trained you when you were a walk-in freshman.
Well, there's no. I told a kid one time, you're standing wrong. You're standing on the sideline wrong. No one's going to take you serious. He was standing like this meekly. He's like 6'8". I go, stand like a goddamn man. What are you doing? I mean, what? He didn't understand it. I got a call from him about a year ago. He goes, that might have been the best thing I learned in college. How to stand at 6'8", not to shrink. Yeah, so I try to tell people all the time, you can put a lot of stuff into kids as a coach, man. You coach leadership, you coach whatever. That's what you're supposed to do, no?
Well, we coach body language too. I mean, I used to call plays for 15, 19 years. I'd call a play and a quarterback, he gives you that look. And I say, hey, don't wave me off. Don't shake me off. You throw an interception, you throw an incomplete pass. I don't want to see my quarterback kicking the dirt. I don't want to see that look. So you got to coach all these little things. And I didn't know you could use profanity on this podcast, Dan. This is impressive.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't. Yeah, I've never done that.
My mom 80, I can't say how old she is, but she'll hit me with, hey, Dan, you don't need to use the F word. I said, Mom, you taught me it. I'm trying. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I'm Gary, Indiana. What do you want me to do? Hey, I used to love, I mean, I love when you got Spider, 2Y, Banana, and all that stuff. When you were doing that, I'm guessing there are quarterbacks that would come in and you'd be like, huh, that guy's really a dumbass. And I bet there are quarterbacks that you're like, huh, that guy a lot smarter than I thought he was, right? That was a great exercise. Is that what happens at the combine here in Indy when they have meetings with quarterbacks, when teams meet with them? Do they put them through what you put those guys through?
Well, the combine is more of an information gathering session now. Let's give him a physical. Let's see where he's going to be on draft day. We'll ask him a couple questions. But when you go to work the kid out individually at his college, or when you have him into your facility on his pro visit, then you can get into some of those detailed type things. But I remember going to see Jamarcus Russell and Brady Quinn and a number of guys. You wanted to have something ready for each quarterback that they couldn't prepare for, that they didn't already know the answers to. A lot of these guys now, they walk into the room and they're going to ask you the question you're going to ask them. That's how prepared they are by their agents. So I tried to be off the hook a little bit, and I really tried to study every one of their plays that they played, whether it was Carson Wentz at North Dakota State or Russell Wilson at North Carolina State or Russell Wilson at Wisconsin. Watch the plays and pull out the good stuff, but also pull out some of the plays that'll make these guys cringe a little bit and make these guys explain what they were doing. And that was, I think, some of the cool stuff that we were able to do.
Did you have a guy like Russell pegged as overrated?
No, we loved Russell Wilson here. We really did. And
no, I'm sorry. Jamarcus Russell.
Well, he didn't really fit what we were doing offensively, but when we went to LSU, we had a couple LSU Tigers on our team in Tampa. I tell you one thing, Dan, he could throw the ball, man. He was like an old school pocket passer rifleman. But I don't know that he was ready right away to come in and play like a lot of guys in the NFL. Sometimes these guys, they need to observe, they need to watch for 5 or 6 weeks or at least a season at times.
What do you remember being a ball boy at IU for the IU basketball team? You were there for some pretty good years.
Man, good years. We were 32-1 and 33-0. How good is that? I mean, I know you were there for the 81 to 85 teams. I mean,
later.
Scotty May, Quinn Buckner, Bobby Wilkerson, Kent Benson, Tom Abernathy. We would kick your ass, man. I was ball boy Tim Knight. Tim Knight was Bobby Knight's son. We were best friends playing Little League together, and he would let me go to the red and white scrimmages. So we'd go to Newcastle, we'd go to Indianapolis where Mike Woodson was from, and I always got the red team, see? I had all the guys that were the backup players, Don Nort. We had Wayne Radford. We had a bunch of backup players. So Coach Knight would come in there on occasion and tear into the red team. And every once in a while, he would take one of the red players and put him on the white team and put one of the white teams in our locker room. But I did learn quite a bit from Coach Knight about taking advantage of your time, you know, having an urgency about you, and be ready to freaking go, man. That's what I remember the most. You better be ready to go when you step on that court.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I always said, man, I did this as a coach, good or bad, but I'm going to bring it every day because I saw my high school coach, we actually bought a recliner for a Chase Lounge because he would just sit in the bleachers, didn't do shit. Coach Knight, man, I'd look at Alford and go, hey, man, the man's here. Let's go. The man is here. The man's in the gym. Let's go. You know. Hey,
but you know what's funny is, you know what's funny, Dan, is when I remember those great Indiana teams, nowadays you got 5 guys hovering around the 3-point line. They dribble, drive, and they kick it out. They dunk it or they kick it out. They dunk it or they kick it out. Then on Friday night, you got a dunk contest and you got a 3-point shooting contest. That's all I ever see in basketball. But back in those days, we didn't dunk the ball ever, and we never shot a 3-point shot. And we won every game, and sometimes we won by 40. It was awesome, man.
I've gotten to know those guys really well, and those guys are some smart dudes that are, even though they won like that, they're pretty humble guys. So let me ask you, in the NFL, you mentioned some of the greats that you've been around, Rice and others. every time I see these guys, try to study them, everybody that's great knows they're great, but don't have to tell you they're great. I look at the current group of wide receivers, and this drives me batshit crazy, Coach, so I'm sorry. But the wide receivers acting like idiots drive me nuts. And I was thinking about this. Tell me I'm wrong. I don't know when the last time a diva wide receiver has been on a team that has won a championship, a Super Bowl. I'm sure maybe Beckham did, but he was an afterthought on a team, with the Rams. But I swear to God, I don't know one of these pain in the ass wide receivers that ever wins a championship. How wrong am I? Tell me I'm wrong.
Oh, I'm sure it's the same way in every sport. In basketball, if you're not getting your shots, I'm going to transfer. If I don't get the ball, I'm transferring. I want to shoot threes. But some guys would rather catch 7 balls and lose than 2 balls and win every day of the week. And that's just the nature of the game. I think with all the fantasy football and all the incentives that you have for catches, and you get paid for production and catches and yards, you can see what we're breeding. You can't really blame them sometimes, but you got to coach that too, as you know. Ball distribution, winning games, unselfishness, running for each other. Sometimes I got to clear it out for you. Sometimes you got to clear it out for me. But you try to be a big picture coach and try to have something for everybody every week. That's the only thing you can do.
You go to Vegas, and for years, Vegas was like taboo, right? Sports gambling. We can't have a team there. We can't have a Super Bowl there. Shit. Now Vegas is let me ask you, is it different coaching in Vegas? And how much do you think, or what does it concern you, or maybe the NFL or whoever, how much is the gambling element of concern to the NFL or to you as a coach, and how different was it coaching in Vegas?
I don't know about the gambling part of it. I've never really associated with it myself. I do know it's a big part of the world now, everywhere I go. But I think the big challenge of coaching in Vegas, honestly, was the weather. I mean, if you don't practice before 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning, it's the desert. Remember that. It's 125 degrees at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So you got to really be smart, I think, about putting your schedule together where you can practice early, to try to beat the heat. And then the second thing I think is a real challenge, and I think it's a challenge league-wide, but particularly in Vegas, is home games. Think about this. You're a player. You're living in Las Vegas. You have some money. You got Friday night. All your buddies come in from other cities. Saturday, a couple more guys come in. They're staying at your house. They're staying with you. You got to make sure they have a good time. There's just a lot of great distractions that keep you 5 or 10% away from studying your game plan. I mean, you saw it yesterday. A lot of teams went on the road and won, and used to be unheard of. The home team used to have a distinct advantage. But because of all the distractions now and the fact that these guys are getting paid pretty good, I think playing at home can really be a challenge, especially in a place like Vegas where there's so much action.
Is this true? Tirico and I worked together for 5 years doing Tuesday night Big Ten games. And I would always ask him about you. I would always ask him how you prepared, how you did all this stuff. And I did say, when you went to the Rams, what's coach's concern? Is this true? Were you concerned about not having a great home field advantage because of how many fans from outside teams would come into Vegas? Like Colts fans, what game are you going to go to? Shit, we're going to go to we're going to go to Vegas. Big. You know what I mean? Was that? I remember Mike telling me that. It made sense. But I got to fact check Tirico. Come on.
Well, there is truth to that. I mean, if you are the coach of the Raiders, you are going to be playing at least 8 or 9 home games every year. And if the Colts come to Vegas, which game would you like to take your family to? You probably want to go stay in the Bellagio, or you want to stay at one of these great casinos, have a great time, and you're willing to pay whatever you have to pay to get 4 tickets. But I think that's becoming a problem everywhere right now. Some of the Pittsburgh Steelers, they travel incredibly well. I mean, some of these fan bases, you got to give them credit. They're just better than others.
The Bears fans unloaded on on Indy, and the Bears suck. I don't give a damn how good Caleb Williams is. They ain't not going to be good.
They do travel, though. The Bears fans are awesome.
They do. They're freaking nuts. You want to get back into – I just read something where you want to get back into coaching.
Well, I am coaching. I got my own YouTube channel. Have you watched it yet? The Gruden Loves Football.
That's right.
Yeah,
we're going to get into that. I want to get into that.
I got my own YouTube channel. I'm having a blast. We're coaching football. We're collaborating with a lot of different people. But, to answer your question, I'm prepared. I'm in the bullpen. If someone's looking for a coach, I'll be ready to go. I do have passion for this game, probably unlike many people that you've met. And I still take a lot of pride in staying on top of it.
Did Indiana ever contact you?
Years ago, when I was offensive coordinator at Philadelphia, that job came down to me and Cam Cameron. And Steve Downing, remember the great center for the IU Hoosier basketball team? He came down. He was part of the interview. I was real young back at that time. And Coach Knight called me, and he says, I can't recommend both of you guys for this job, and I got to recommend one of you. And Cam Cameron had played for Coach Knight. He said, I got to be loyal to one of my own. And I really never forgot that. I appreciated it. And I'm kind of glad it worked out the way it did.
Yeah, Cam and I played together. He kept getting hurt. He kept tearing up his knee. Coach is back with a new show. I'm reading this thing verbatim, man. I'm one of the great readers of all time. Gruden Loves Football airs weekly on YouTube. Game previews, interviews, players, coaches, entertainers. You can follow Gruden Loves Football on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. They can also visit GrudenLovesFootball.com for more information. All right. We don't have anything in the can with P. Diddy or any of that, do we?
No, not on this episode.
Okay. What is your favorite thing to talk about? Like, a lot of guys, basketball players always want to be football players. Football players always want to be basketball players. Guys want to, I'm here. We talk about politics, anything, on this show on OutKick. It's great. What, if you're not going to talk football, what would be your favorite thing to talk to a guest about?
Well, I love rock and roll. I love classic rock and roll. I really love music. I like doing that. I like to play a little golf. I'm pretty simple, really. I love all walks of life, too. I had John Isner, the great tennis player, on my show. I love Kenny Chesney. I like John Daly. I like having guys that, love to compete, have a good time, and guys that are fun to be around.
Favorite band?
Oh, it's AC/DC. There is no other band, is there? I mean, if you just shut the door and left me someplace with 3 albums of AC/DC, I'd be fine.
My brother-in-law is a big old iron worker in Detroit, and my wife said when I first met him, said, hey, man, tell my brother AC/DC sucks, will you? I said, no. No, because he's a big old iron worker. I'm not saying a word about AC/DC. Favorite concert you've ever been to? Best concert? Don't say non-AC/DC. Non-AC/DC.
Actually, when I went to Fort Lauderdale, my friend knows the AC/DC band. I got to go down, and Brian Johnson had lost his voice or something. So they brought in the lead singer of Guns N' Roses. Axl Rose was the lead singer for AC/DC. It was the greatest thing I've ever seen because Axl Rose, I think, has the best rock and roll voice of all time. He can hit anything up here, anything down here. And to hear his interpretation of Shoot the Thrill, Hell's Bells, Dirty Deeds, it was the greatest thing I've ever seen. I wish AC/DC would do an album with Axl Rose as the lead singer. And then my life would be complete, brother.
He's from West Lafayette. Axl Rose. They started in a garage in Lafayette. When Hagar or David Lee Roth?
Oh, I'm David Lee Roth all the way. I love the Red Rocker by himself. But old school Van Halen. I got to meet David Lee Roth at the Rose Bowl. We at Tirico were doing the Rose Bowl, Texas. I think they were playing Alabama. And I went to this Mexican restaurant. And I'm sitting at the bar, and there he is, my idol, David Lee Roth. And I really had a great night that night. I tell you, I like this show. We're talking about some good stuff, man.
Did you ever, David Lee Roth was born and raised in Bloomington. Did you know that?
I did not know Bloomington, Indiana. I knew he worked for an ambulance. I knew he was on the back of an ambulance for a while.
Wow.
But I like Leonard Skinner. I love Leonard Skinner too. I got a lot of love for Leonard Skinner. I got to see them recently in Las Vegas, and I could go on, but I think you get the gist.
I tell you what, Coach. If you ever get a shot, I knew a little bit of his music, but what an entertainer. Kid Rock is about as good a show as I've ever been. I've been to a lot of rock and roll shows. Kid Rock is about as good an entertainer as you're ever going to see, man. You ever seen him? He's unbelievable.
I have.
Incredible.
He is. He's something else.
Oh.
John Daly and I became good friends, and he and the kid are good friends. And a few years ago, I was at the Super Bowl Cowboys Steelers in Fort Worth, and we had a big snowstorm. And me and Sean Payton are sitting downstairs, and there he is. Kid Rock is just walking into the hotel, and he kind of knew who we were. So we got to go up in his room and hang out with the kid. These are great moments, man. I feel like I'm 12 years old. I'm a fanboy. You're talking David Lee Roth and Axl Rose and Kid Rock. I got to turn my iPad on. Do you put music on this channel, or do you get fined if you use it?
We get fined. You got to have like, you know what I mean? All the different, I don't even know what the hell.
It's a shame.
Could you play rock and roll music at practice? Like, would players listen to that, or they go, well, Coach, what the hell is this, man? Why am I listening to this?
Well, they had no choice when I was coaching. That's probably one of my biggest, pet peeves was listening to bad music during practice. I mean, I'm willing to have the best speakers, and I'll turn it up loud too. I don't mind the noise. I think the distraction is good. We got to communicate verbally, non-verbally, but if it's a lousy song or just, I can't take it, man.
I always wondered why I'm sitting there in the middle of Iowa in the gym listening to rap music, and everybody in the gym is an old white dude. And I'm like, man, listen, it's kind of like, can somebody put on some poison around here so these people can get moving around? Can they,
tell you though,
anyway,
as you know, in the locker room before the game, some teams, some players got to have the music, and they got to have their music.
Yeah.
And the other guys got to wear the iPods, and it's been a problem for some places. And then when you go lift weights down there at 8:00 in the morning in the off season, the lineman might want country music. The D-line might want another kind of music. And can't we all just get along and lift weights, but we have to have the music?
I used to tell my players, look, I don't want to hear any I hate white people music, and I don't want to hear the N-word. Other than that, I don't give a damn what you play. But I'm a white coach, fellas. I can't hear no I hate white people, and I can't hear the N-word. Then where we're going to have a problem. Hey, Coach, I've kept you too long, man. Thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Hey, Dan, great meeting you finally. Got a lot of respect for you, man. Keep up the good work. Stay in touch.